Okay, we're continuing our journey with AI basics. In the previous segments, you saw fine tuning in action, right? Taking GPT-2 and training it further on Shakespeare to change its writing style. That's powerful, but it requires data, compute resources, and time, right? What if you could change AI behavior without any training? What if you could make the base GPT-2 write like Shakespeare just by asking it the right way? This works with not just GPT-2, but the later models, 5 and other future maybe models may be different, but currently like Cloud AI or Gemini, GPT 404 and 5, 6, they all would work with this format for now. Today, so you will learn 4 powerful techniques that work with any large language model without changing a single parameter, just by crafting your prompts differently. You can dramatically improve the outcome of the AI performance. Why this matters? Remember in the previous segment when you learned that similar words have similar vectors? Prompt engineering leverages that same principle. When you show examples or assign roles, you're activating specific regions of the model's knowledge. The words you choose literally steer the AI toward different outputs. So what we're doing today is we're moving from theory to practice. In the previous segment, you learned how LLMs work internally and attention and context windows, token prediction, etc. Today, you will use that knowledge to manipulate model behavior. You'll see that simply adding think step by step can boost accuracy by 40% or even more. So let's master the art of talking to AI. So, for example, here's a puzzle. A farmer has 17 sheep, all but 9 run away. How many sheep are left, right? Many people and many AI models will say, oh, 8 left. But that's wrong, right? Reread it. All but 9 run away. So you need to pay attention to but 9 run away, right? So the answer is 9 sheep. Now, here's the magic. If you ask that same question to an AI but add 6 words, think through this step by step, it suddenly gets it right. Same model, same question, different prompt, different answer. So that's prompt engineering, the art of talking to AI in ways that unlock its full potential. Today, you will learn 4 techniques that work with any large language models. No fine tuning required, no coding the model itself, just crafting your words differently. These techniques can improve AI accuracy dramatically. So it is great practice for you. And at the same time, you will realize how useful this is when you are building your own services that integrate some of the model services like API services to call OpenAI service or cloud AI services for many, many different purposes. It could be coding related, or it could be writing related, or it could be customer support response related. You do not want any of these to make mistakes. So defining the format becomes very, very important. So let's get started with your very first code. So the first code, it calls the model GPT-2 from Hugging Face. And so it installs it, and then Hugging Face inference client. The library is there. And here's the most important part, Hugging Face token. Remember in module 1.2, you had to create an account in Hugging Face. So if you still do have it, then you can use the same token that you generated. It's like the secret key for OpenAI. You've done these already. So by now, you must be an expert. So you must put your Hugging Face token here. Without it, it will not run. So make sure that you put it there. and do not share these tokens or secret keys with anyone. So assuming that you have it, then the model name we're going to use is called QN 2.5 dash 7 billion instruct. Okay, so that's the model name. It's available at Hugging Face. So we are going to call it. And then if it makes a successful connections, then it will print API connection successful. And then it will tell you what model it is. So when you execute this, and then we have just one test, quick test translation here. Say hello in Kazakh in one sentence, right? So we're testing it by using the service. And then let's see, if we run successfully, it will say salam, right? API connection successful, model QN 2.5-7 billion instruct, type open source LLM, strong multilingual support. It does include Kazakh. So it's great. If you don't like this model, if you want to use more modern models, then you can use other free models. Obviously, you could use the API service from OpenAI or Cloud AI or Gemini. But if you like to process large set of data with very simple inquiries, and then if you just need a quick responses for free, and then this free open source one works great. But there are other models that are available here. Meta, they have Llama 3.2, 3.1. These are bigger files. But anyway, those are available for you if you like, so that you don't have to pay. Okay, so after that, let's do some testing. So we're defining some function. Here it's called Ask LLM. It's pretty straightforward. It's going to take your prompt and it prints. That's all. And then we're going to be using this function over and over in subsequent code blocks. So we are defining the prompt function, very, very simple. It just takes the prompt and it outputs the response. And if there is any connection error, something like that, it will just print try, waiting a moment and running it again, so it's going to prepare error if there is any connection issues. And then this function could be used with any models that are out there. You could use with the GPT-4, 5, Gemini, Cloud, Llama, Mistral, etc. So once you define the function, you can call it anytime. So the first thing we like to do is few-shot prompting. Few-shot prompting. This is one of the techniques in prompting engineering. So basically what it is you give AI some samples, how to respond. Okay, so we're going to do that. But before we start, we're going to do zero shot, no example. Just say, hey, translate this to Kazakh. That's all, right? That's the number one example. So we're going to see that result in a minute. So that's all it does. Just using the Ask LLM function is a zero shot. Nothing there. Just says translate to Kazakh and then hello. So that's all. Okay. The second example is a few shot example with example. So it provides format. So translate English to Kazakh, follow this exact format, right? And so it's going to give format in advance, and then it gives hello at the end. So basically, your AI model will learn about the format, how to respond, and then it will translate hello. And this is the few shot example. So it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? Right? And when it does, it's going to print the translation side by side. So first one, zero shot, translate to Kazakh. It just said hello. That's it. And then it says salam. That's it. The few shot example, it gave the AI format, how to respond. and then the LLM says salam. Okay, pretty straightforward, isn't it? Right. So based on that, it just gives the response. Hello, salam. Okay. The next example, few shot for sentiment classification, is very similar to what we just did. So you give the format first. Hey, AI, classify the sentiment as positive, negative, neutral in the following format. In the following format, this restaurant has amazing food, positive. The service was terrible and slow, negative. The store is located on Main Street. It's not positive or negative, so it's neutral, right? And then the sentiment that we want for this statement is, I love visiting Astana in the summer. Okay, and then the AI will respond according to the format. And then we're going to give a little harder examples. Classify the sentiment as positive, negative, neutral, same thing. The statements are, the restaurant has amazing food, positive. The service was terrible and slow, negative. The store is located on Main Street, neutral. The food was okay, nothing special, but not bad either. So that's a little tricky statement. Let's see what the Ask LLM function will do. So it will print out the results. It just prints out the prompt first, the format that you gave, and then I love visiting Astana in the summer. It turns out to be positive. Okay, little harder problems. It prints out the results. The restaurant has amazing food, positive. Service was terrible and slow, negative. The store is located on Main Street, neutral. The food was okay, nothing special, but not bad either, neutral. Okay, the statement, the food was okay, nothing special, but not bad either, expresses a neutral sentiment. It neither conveys strong positive nor negative emotion, but rather a neutral or indifferent feeling about the food, right? So if you look at the code, this part, right? So it does the sentiment analysis immediately, but if you look at how the function was designed from the earlier block, okay, here, this is the function, right? Let's see, it defines how to respond, and then the temperature, maximum token is 500, maximum token 500, so it's not going to be lengthy, and temperature is 0.7. Do you remember setting up the temperature? If it is high, it gets to be creative, like 1 point something, right? Whereas it's 0.1, it will be very, very rigid. And then it's not going to be creative or anything like that. So the temperature we picked here is a 0.7. And then it gives okay response. If you put 0.91, probably it will have much more creative and wild responses. So that's why it gave us the results the way that it did. Okay, so it's good to change these around and then see if you like what this AI is producing for you. Okay. Okay, let's continue with the next segment here. Chain of thought response. Sometimes, as we all know, we saw ChatGPT making hallucinations, right? They are hallucinating with their own creative ideas. Maybe the temperature was too high, but we see that they hallucinate. And especially with the math problems, if you're asking math problems, sometimes it gives you wrong answers to very simple math questions. You probably have seen it. It gotten better over time as they were releasing from 3.5 to 4.0, mini 4.0, and then 5.0, and so on. The math functions gotten better, but still we see some hallucination and incorrect answers when the AI is given math problems. And then when it's abstract word math problem, it gets crazy and wild oftentimes. But again, they've gotten much better. But let's see, GPT-2, how good this is. Here, with the Hugging Face model, let's see, with a chain of thought. So why do we do chain of thought is let them realize what they're thinking, how they are reasoning behind the problem. We make it clear and transparent so that when AI is generating the response, it reflects how it's generating the response. So instead of just giving the answer at the end, it realizes how it's doing its reasoning and sharing with the user so that it gets to reflect. So a question like this: a farmer has 17 sheep, all but 9 run away. How many sheep are left, right? As I said earlier, people may say, "Oh, it's 8," but actually not. It's 9. So let's see how the LLM respond. If the farmer originally has 17 sheep and all but 9 left, then 9 sheep are left. So that's correct. That's correct. So it's not dumb like the ones that we have seen in other models. So with the chain of thought, a farmer has 17 sheep, all but 9 run away. How many sheep are left? Think through this step by step before giving your final answer. So, initial count of sheep. The farmer starts with a 17 sheep. Sheep that run away. The problem states all but 9 run away. This means 9 sheep do not run away. Calculating the number of sheep left, since 9 sheep do not run away, these are the sheep left with the farmer. So the number of sheep left is 9. Final answer, there are 9 sheep left. See, when you get the LLM to respond with reflections by stating how they are doing their reasoning, sometimes it sticks with the more accurate pathway to the answer. And then I've seen it in many examples, especially when they need to do some word problem in math. And so this is one of the ways to make it clear to both the AI and the humans who are interacting with AIs about whether they're on the same page or not. So I've done this several times. And sometimes if you do not want to print out all these reasoning behind it, although you let them do it, you can just extract the number 9 out of it and then print the outcome only. But you still do the reasoning behind the problem solving process so that it is transparent to the AI. If there's any incorrect reasoning, then it will self-correct. The next one, harder problem, multi-step reasoning. So the problem here we are putting in the prompt is problem, a store sells apples for $2 each and oranges for $3 each. Maria bought some fruits and paid $23 total. She bought 4 more apples than oranges. Solve this step by step. First, define variables, set up equations, solve the questions, check your answer. And then when it asks chain of thought for analysis, the analysis prompt, the next one is analyze whether Kazakhstan should invest more in renewable energy, and go through this chain of thought. Think through this systematically. Step 1, current energy situation in Kazakhstan. Step 2, arguments for more renewable investment. Step 3, arguments against or challenges. And step 4, your balanced conclusion. Okay, so let's see what the model respond with. So let's start with the first one. Solve this. So that's the prompt part. And sure, let's solve this problem step by step. Define variables. So let's define A as the number of apples Maria bought, O as the number of oranges Maria bought. Step 2, set up equations. From the problem, we have two pieces of information. The cost of apples and oranges. Apples cost $2 each. Oranges cost $3 each. Maria paid a total of $23. This gives us the equation 22A plus 3O equals 23. Maria bought 4 more apples than oranges. This gives us the equation A equals O plus 4. So now we have two parentheses O plus 4 and then plus 3O equals 23. Simplify and solve for O. 2O plus A plus 3O, 23. And then it comes to be O equals 3. So now that we have O equals 3, substitute back into the second equation to find A. Now A is 7. To verify the solution, let's check if the value A equals 7, O equals 3 satisfy both original conditions. The total cost 2A plus 3O, and the final is 3 plus 4. Both conditions are satisfied, so the solution is correct. So final answer, Maria bought 7 apples and 3 oranges. So when you add these chain of thoughts to be shared line by line, it helps the AI to verify while it's producing the results. And so instead of just final answer, then you don't know. It's like a black box. How did you get to that answer? Sometimes it gives you wrong answers, but by having it print out the rationale and reasoning behind the problem, it can get more transparent. So I have done that in my own projects as well. Sometimes AI models hallucinate, even the new models. If it is a word problem, it takes the problem incorrectly. It misunderstands the problem and then produces the wrong answer. So having chain of thought is very valuable. So LLM response for the Kazakh renewable energy. It says, hey, Kazakhstan is a major energy producer with a significant portion of its economy relying on its oil and gas resources. Oil and gas, there are primary sources for energy, accounting for about 70% of its energy mix. So, hey, it's not bad as a free model, right? You can use this model to build your services. A lot of services, if they are not really requiring that accurate, real accurate results, then you could use this model, and then you can have it clearly print out the rationale and the reasoning behind how it's reaching to the solution or the result. And so that's how you do it. You just have it share its chain of thoughts. Okay, so arguments against or challenges, right? High initial cost, intermittency, reliability, weather dependency. Renewable energy sources like solar and wind are highly dependent on weather conditions, which can affect. Okay, so that's not bad at all. That is not bad at all. So next technique is called a role playing. Role playing. So it's like, hey, I need to grab some answers from AI models, but it needs to present it as someone like a professor of a certain domain, or as a medical doctor or teacher, or as a farmer, etc. Because they will have different perspectives depending on their based on their expertise and experiences, right? So when you need certain perspectives, certain angles, certain views, then you use this role. It's so that the response is not too generic. It's not just too general, right? But if you assign a role, then the perspectives are more relevant to that role. So that's what you do. So here we're going to test with 3 different roles: historian, travel blogger, economists. Okay, and then about what makes Almaty special. So you're asking the question to 3 different personas, right? And so let's see how it says. Historian says Almaty is special for its rich history as a former capital of Kazakhstan and its strategic location at the foot of the Zayil Sky, Alato Mountains, serving as a gateway to the Altai Mountains and beyond. It also boasts a unique blend of architectural styles, from Russian Empire era buildings to modern structures, reflecting its diverse cultural heritage and historical significance. So that's that is definitely a very not only valid but also appropriate response from a historian perspective, because it talks about the history a little bit. But as a travel blogger, the response would be different, right? Almaty, often referred to as the Paris of Kazakhstan, is special for its stunning alpine setting that offers breathtaking panoramic views of the Tian Shan Mountains. Its unique blend of colonial era architecture, vibrant local markets, and a thriving cultural scene make it a delightful destination that seamlessly combines Eastern charm with Western sophistication. What a beautiful way of putting it as a travel blogger. Okay. Where are we? I just moved the cells and then I lost where I was. So anyway, when you need to get perspectives and results and outcomes in persona, in a certain persona, then you definitely want to assign role. That way you get the answers in a very, very valid manner here with the outcome. So here's the economist. Almaty stands out as a vibrant economic and cultural hub in Kazakhstan, serving as the country's largest city and economic center. Its strategic location at the foot of the Tian Shan Mountains, combined with a rich history and modern infrastructure, make it a key player in regional development, attracting both national and international investment. That's what an economist would say. So that's perfect. I think I'm pretty impressed with this free open source model, giving you this level of high quality results. I mean, you can assign the creativity again. You can adjust the values of the tokens so that you can have a more a lengthier response, etc. So, but I think that's good. Now you will use the same technique, like assigning roles, when you are working on your startup venture. If you are involving some of the LLM responses, and then if you're in need of free resources like the Hugging Face resources, as I mentioned, there are like 500,000 plus models that you can use in your project. So it's amazing. And then they are all free. That's more amazing. Okay. So how about role prompting for code review? So you give set up a code, Python code, and then have different role would give explanation and feedback. And so just the simple lines of code of defining function calculation function. And so you are a you're a senior software engineer with 15 years of experience. You're known for thorough but kind code reviews that help junior developers learn. Review this Python code and provide constructive feedback. And here's the function. And focus on naming, readability, and best practices. What a wonderful way to learn coding, right? So uh, you could use this same prompting engineering technique when you're interacting with a major LLM services out there. But I think what's important in our lesson here is that when you need to provide services, like reviewing something or providing some answers to questions or generating some research outcomes and analysis, things like that, you want to use these techniques so that you provide your customers with the right format, right style, right voice, right perspective. So that way your service becomes more valuable. So that's the first prompt. What's the next prompt? As a patient teacher, you are a patient teacher, encouraging teacher who explains complex topics using simple analogies and real-world examples. Your students are 15 to 16 years old. Remember what we've been doing with each segment. Before you start, you asked, hey, I'm a fifth grader. Explain this concept to me as a fifth grader. And you remember, this is just like that, right? You are just interacting with a major AI partner. In this case, you need to embed these codes in your service. And if so, then that's what you do. You name a prompt variable, and then you add what the prompt variable should have, and then you call a function, activating the prompt, and then getting the results. So I think that you will be using this a lot if you are incorporating LLM services, so that your system is not hallucinating, but giving very valid, accurate response to your customer inquiries. So in this case, here are my suggestions for improving the readability, naming conventions, etc. Still, this is the original code, right? It's defining a function for calc x comma y, and a lot of people would do this way because it saves time. You don't have to think. But when you come back and share this code with other co-developers, they have no clue. It's very hard to understand. I mean, this is too simple. It's easy to understand. But if the function was complex, it would be very difficult. So here's the revised code. Basically, the function name, it says calculate sum and product. And then it defines the function in a more humanly readable format, right? And then it adds comments. So, and then you name the variable to exactly mean what it's supposed to mean, right? If sum of numbers is larger than product of numbers, return sum of numbers. Else, return product of numbers. This is way better than just saying if A is larger than B. And as someone who is reading the code for the first time, they don't know, hey, what is this A? What is B? What does it do? But by reading the naming conventions for the variables, it's much easier to understand what this function does, right? So this is the feedback breakdown. The function name calc is very generic, does not provide any context about what the function actually does. Calculate sum and product is more descriptive and conveys the purpose of the function clearly. So this is a good coaching feedback, right? If you're a good coach trying to teach coding, this is exactly what you should do, right? So it gives very, very valid and then more understandable explanations of the coding. So here, let's read this one. Type hints are best practice in Python, especially for larger projects or working with a team. They provide clarity on the expected types of function parameters and return. So that's what you do when you build complex functions. You want to give the naming conventions with the details of what each variable mean, and what the function does, etc. So we just practice the coding, and then patient teacher here as well. That's how you would design your responses. Okay. Let's see, the next one, structured output. If you need to get the responses in a certain structure, especially with the JSON output. JSON is the text format that is used a lot in modern applications when they need to be passing data values between applications, between application and data, and so forth. A lot of time they use the JSON format. So when you need to create certain outputs to be stored in a database, right? Or if you need to exchange values between applications, you would use the JSON format. So that's why you are here asking the API, asking the AI model to hand over the result in JSON format. Okay, and then return only valid JSON in this exact format. No markdown, no explanation, nothing. Specifically in this format only, right? So a lot of coding errors happen in formats. So when they are passing this data outcomes to another application, sometimes they do not provide very clean outputs. And sometimes, let's say you need to print the outcome that you received from AI model to your homepage, as an example. And then the homepage has its own CSS formats. It has the front page, the front end formats, but it has wrongly defined the JSON. And then what AI provides does not match with what your front end pages are asking for, then there would be errors. So a lot of errors do happen in real world because the formats mismatch, missing field, missing line, etc. So exchanging information in JSON format is crucial, and it has to match exactly. Otherwise, your system will crash or will not save, cause errors, all kinds of things. So you will use this kind of a function a lot in your coding when you're developing your solutions, and embedding AI with AI services. So here, let's look at structured output comparison. Structured comparison table. Compare Astana and Almaty as places to live. Return a markdown table with these columns. Include rows for climate, cost of living, job market, culture, nature access. And then you call that Ask LLM prompt, structured output for data extraction. So that's another format. Extract information from this text into JSON. Able Khan, right? And then it gives the explanation, the history of this historic figure. And then here's the output. Let's look at the output here. The first prompt, compare Astana and Almaty as places to live, return a markdown table with columns. So LLM respond exactly with the column and rows that you defined, right? Astana, Almaty, and then the climate, cost of living, job market, culture, nature, access, etc. So it gives you the output in the exact format that you are asking the AI to provide, and then it did. So this becomes very crucial when you are integrating AI responses in your service. And so these techniques will come in handy. Okay, structure for data extraction, extract information. So LLM response does this: JSON file format, name, birthday, birthplace, role, years served, accomplishments, right? And then each line highlights the major accomplishment of Ablai Khan, right? So this is exactly how you would save this. Let's say you're making a service like a Wikipedia with a lot of famous people listed in a service, and then when people search for someone, you want to grab these records from your database and present them in your front end page. If the format does not match, then the problem will start to occur, and then there will be errors or some crashes, and you will run into all kinds of problems that you do not want to see. And so JSON format is very important, and it's very common format that people use in the world of AI development. So now it's your turn. You prompt your engineering. This is your chance to write your own few shot prompt, complex problem, create a role prompt, and structured prompt, and so forth. So what I did was I created something fun, classify these traditional dishes by their country of origin, and then I listed some dish from Kazakhstan, right? Besh barmak, and then kimchi from South Korea, bibimbap, Korea, kazi, Kazakhstan, barasak, fried dough. Okay, and then the chain of thought example. A tourist wants to experience both Kazakh and Korean New Year celebration. Kazakh Nowruz is celebrated on March 21st through 23rd. Korean Seollal follows the lunar calendar and falls between January 21st and February 20th. The tourist can only travel once and wants to experience both celebrations in the same trip. Is this possible? If so, what years and dates would work? Right? Think through this step-by-step chain of thought. Right? That's a chain of thought prompt. Your role prompt. Hey, Kazakh grandmother who lived in Korea. Okay, so someone is sharing her perspectives as a grandmother who lived in Korea. You are a Kazakh Appa, grandmother. Appa is grandmother in Kazakh? I did not know that. Appa means father in Korea. So that's interesting. Who grew up on the steppe and then later lived in Seoul for 10 years. You love sharing stories that compare Kazakh and Korean traditions, always finding surprising similarities between the two cultures. A young person asks you, Appa, what do Kazakhstan and Korea have in common? They seem so different. Share your wisdom in a warm storytelling way. Mention at least 3 cultural similarities you've noticed: food, family, values, music, hospitality, etc. Right? So that way you can borrow the persona of a Kazakh grandmother who lived in Korea, and then the AI will respond accordingly. The next one, structured output with a JSON file format, which is the most common format for data exchange. And then no markdown, no explanation. And then it will have a comparison between Kazakh and Korea. Okay, so let's see what this prompt will turn into. Kazakhstan, these traditional dishes can be classified by their country of origin as follows: bibimbap, kazi, barsak. Okay, barsak is also popular in other Central Asian countries. Okay, chain of thought. A tourist wants to experience. Okay, is this possible? And then the response is, let's break down the problem step by step. Understand when each celebration occurs. Step 2, consider if the dates ever overlap or are close enough. Okay, determine if a single trip could cover both. Since Korean Seollal never occurs on or after March 21st, there's no overlap between these two dates. Conclusion with the specific reasoning. Given the fixed date for Kazakh Newruz and varying date for Korean Seollal, it is not possible for the tourist to experience it. So it's pretty accurate reasoning. Pretty accurate reasoning. And here's the grandma who lived in Korea. My dear young friend, it is such a joy to hear you asking about the similarities between these two vast lands, Kazakhstan and Korea. You are right. They seem so different and blah, blah, blah. So if you need to borrow the perspective from a particular persona you set up, this is a way to do it. Structure the JSON, pretty straightforward. Comparison Kazakh, Korean, traditional instrument, dombra, national dish, plov, traditional dwelling, yurt, New Year celebration, nariz, symbol of respect, guest of honor, Korean style, traditional instrument, puk, and national dish, bibimbap, traditional dwelling, hanok, New Year celebration, Seollal, symbol of respect, ancestral worship. Similarities. Both have traditional dwellings that are portable or adaptable to the climate. Both have New Year celebration that are significant. Both have respect for guests and ancestors as cultural norms. All four techniques demonstrated. So we just experimented again. Few shot prompting, chain of thought reasoning, role prompting, structured JSON output. These are very common techniques that you will use in your startup ventures if you're integrating any LLM services. And now you know that this free model from Hugging Face is still very powerful. And you don't have to spend money. You don't have to pay OpenAI fees, and you don't have to worry about how many tokens you have to receive and then generate. Because if you're dealing with thousands of, hundreds of thousands of customers, and you are maybe providing a tour guide services online, or you are providing online feedback for online education services, or you're designing solutions that will help solve problems for certain industries, or analyzing documents and books, or you're diagnosing some problems in healthcare area. Whatever the services may be, if your service will involve some texts, services, responses, integrating LLM, okay, you now know that there's a free way of doing it. Obviously, if you need to do a very expensive one, then you will want to use the OpenAI or Gemini or Cloud AI, and then you have to pay, and then you have to worry about tokens. But here is a free way of doing it. So hopefully you found this useful, and think about ways to utilizing these free services. And this runs very fast, and it does not take up too much space in your storage, and then you don't have to rely on the services from external companies, because sometimes OpenAI will have a token limits, or they will have interruption to the services, and then your company services will be interrupted. So that's not a good scenario. So now, hopefully you have picked up some good techniques here, and then be able to utilize these services. So we are going to be continuing our journey with more advanced topics along the way. And so let's just quickly summarize. Today, we learned few shot, show examples, and let AI learns your desired pattern and format. and chain of thought and have AI think step by step for better reasoning on complex problems, and role prompting, assign expertise and get grandma's perspective, right? Grandma who Kazakh grandma who lived in Korea for 10 years, something like that. You can be really specific about what angle, what perspective, what values they may care more. So you can have role prompting. And structured output, JSON tables, it's very important because when you are developing your systems and communicating with a database, JSON format is it. So when you need to store something directly to your database from the AI responses, that's what you would use, structured output. So the good thing is that once you know this, you can use it for modern AI models or other free models that are available to you, Llama or Mistral. And then you can combine all these techniques to get the best results. And so that's the power of AI. And hopefully you enjoyed it. And then I'll see you in the next segment. Best luck to you.